Happy New Year, everyone. Welcome back to the show, the most interactive show on the interweb. That's what I meant to say. Welcome back to Wrestling with Omer. I hope everyone's had a wonderful holiday week, a wonderful holiday season, and everyone's having. I'm all flustered at the beginning of the show, as is tradition. I hope everyone's having a wonderful new year. There's a lot to talk about as we enter the new year, as I see MGT has entered the chat. Good to see you, as always, my good friend MGT. Guys, here's the breakdown of the show. If you guys have never been here, first of all, welcome. Secondly, if you have a question, put it in the chat. We'll get to it. It's an interactive show. You're wrestling with me and whatever ideas I have about wrestling. And on top of that, I get to answer your questions. So a lot of fun to be had. So hit that like button if you haven't already done so more people see the stream. Subscribe and hit that notification bell. If you're listening on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, be sure to leave a 5-star review. We've got some things to talk about. It's a busy week in the world of professional wrestling. We saw the return of Charlotte Flair this past week on Friday Night SmackDown. We may see the return of Sasha Banks, a.k.a. Mercedes Varnado, a.k.a. maybe soon to be known as S.K.A. Mercedes Moné. We'll talk about that. We also have news on Bray Wyatt, who suffered an injury at a house show when he wrestled his first match back in WWE. So, plenty of stuff to talk about, as always. And AEW, on top of that, is having their debut at the Climate Pledge Arena in Seattle, Washington. They've made that out to be a big show. We have Wrestle Kingdom coming up as well just tomorrow. It is insane how much stuff is happening in just a short amount of time, and I'm glad I get to talk about it with y'all for the next 30 or so minutes. But let's start with the leadoff. Sasha Banks, Mercedes Varnado, Mercedes Moné, whatever you want to call her. Just call her awesome, because that's what she is. But it looks like Sasha Banks now, it seems like Sasha Banks is going to be at Wrestle Kingdom on Wednesday on the January 4th show at the Tokyo Dome. All reports indicate that while she will appear at the show, she won't be wrestling at the show. And I think that's a big distinction to make as far as what people are talking about. Because people automatically assume if she's going to be there, she's going to wrestle. And while I don't disagree with the idea of if you have Mercedes Varnado, if you have Sasha Banks in your company and she's signed and she has an agreement, it would make a lot of sense to have her come in and wrestle. However, that doesn't seem to be the case, as she just seems to be coming in and she's going to be more so of an attraction, it seems. Like, that's how they're going to be treating her. As an attraction, as somebody who is there to maybe, and this is the way I think it's going to work, right? Because you have the January 4th show. Wrestle Kingdom is weird now because it's split up into 2 nights. And it's like 2 nights on like separate weeks in the month. So you have January 4th, and then you have January 21st, which is supposed to be night 2 of Wrestle Kingdom. And if you want to sell out night 2 of Wrestle Kingdom, it's one of, I believe the arena they have is like 20,000 seats or something like that. If you want to sell that out and create buzz about your product, get people watching, a great way to do that, a great way to get people to tune in night 2 of Wrestle Kingdom is that the speculation going into night 1 of Sasha Banks appearing, and then setting up a match with, it seems to be, it's going to be her and Kairi for the IWGP Women's Championship. And if you ask me, that is a dream match that I know a lot of wrestle nerds like myself have wanted to see. And it's an interesting callback to both of their times in WWE, to be honest with you. Because remember, Kairi was obviously Kairi Sane in WWE, and now she's very much not that. She's just an ass-kicking machine, which is exactly what she should have been. But I think in the world of, Cody jumping ship to WWE, or in the world of Vince McMahon retiring, CM Punk and the All Out press conference, we kind of lose sight over how big of a deal, things like Sasha Banks. I feel like I hate to say that we're spoiled as wrestling fans, because we're not. We deserve all of whatever we get. We most likely deserve when it comes to good stuff in wrestling. But I think a lot of people are just kind of taking this as either you're really angry about it. Like there are a lot of people who are really angry about this, and I don't like that, and that speaks to the tribalism that exists in professional wrestling today that I hate. Like, if you like something, go all in, balls to the walls, love it. If you don't like something, just don't watch. Very easy, just don't watch. I mean, obviously, like if something's like egregious, call it out, but you don't have to call out every little thing, or you don't have to choose sides. That's what my biggest thing is. My biggest gripe is people choosing sides, like choosing Team WWE or Team
AEW. And oh, you wrestle for AEW now. I love you. Oh, you're going back to WWE now. I hate you.
Like, that is so dumb. That is so dumb. Like, I am not for, and again, I think what's best for all of wrestling is as many companies as possible growing. And what's better for wrestling is talent getting more opportunities and talent being fulfilled in their craft. So for me, that's why I choose to root for individuals. I choose to root for athletes. I choose to root for wrestlers that I like. And that's, I think, that's something that's kind of been lost in this overtly tribal era of pro wrestling. And the hate watching is what I don't get, right? I really don't get the hate watching. Like, if you're like me and you like actually cover it or something like that, I kind of get watching something that you might not enjoy just to keep up with the product, or generally if you want to keep up with it, and you do the thing where you skip past Raw, which is what I did for a while. But it makes little sense for me when just like normal fans just hate watch something and they just sit there like, ha, gosh darn, look at how crappy this wrestling is on Wednesday or Friday or Monday. I don't know. MGT in the chat asking, when did they start doing multiple nights for Wrestle Kingdom in New Japan? That's a good question. I think, didn't it started with like Wrestle Kingdom 9. I don't think they've always done it. I think it was like Wrestle Kingdom 9. I'll actually look this up for you in real time so you can get my my reaction in 4K. But I think it was like some time like back in like, oh, okay. No, I was wrong. It was in 2020. Right before the pandemic, they started doing Wrestle Kingdom 14. So in 2020, they started doing this. Wow, which seems like a while ago when I think back about it, but it really wasn't. Anyway, but that is crazy. Wow. Oh my God, I forgot. Last year, they did 3 nights of Wrestle Kingdom. They did the back-to-back nights, January 4th and January 5th, and then they did another night on January 8th, which, wow, that is. I love me some great New Japan wrestling, but that is overkill. Like that's bad. Anyway, my point though, as I tend to ramble and rant, my point though is that I think that Mercedes going to New Japan or AEW, she's probably gonna end up doing a little bit of both, but it's a big deal because when was the last time that we saw or we heard this much buzz, this much excitement over a female talent jumping from one company to another, or a female wrestling talent who is a free agent? Like, I love Ruby Riott. She's one of my favorite wrestlers there is. But when she came over to AEW, there was a buzz for a little bit, but I think it's different with Mercedes. I think it's different with Sasha Banks because she's a multiple-time women's champion already. Because she's an established, like elite member of your roster, and she was in WWE, and I think she's going to be in AEW. I think she's going to be in New Japan. And for me, that's just an awesome thing that we've gotten to the point where there is this even metaphorical bidding war, where there is this courting of free agents who are women. I think it's a monstrous deal, and it's better for female talent. It's better for male talent, because if Mercedes can come in and ask for a certain number, other women can come in too and ask for the same or right around that same ballpark. Like, it's going to open up the company's checkbooks. It's going to open up more opportunities for other wrestlers, and I just think it's great. I just think it's absolutely fantastic. MGT is in the chat and saying Sasha is probably going to appear on night 2. I think she's going to appear both nights. I think she's going to appear both nights because right now she is in Japan. She's in Japan right now, and she's doing some like she's just making the rounds, doing some stuff. But the way I would do this, and the way it makes sense to me, is to have her like after Kyrie has her match at Wrestle Kingdom this year, have her come out, confront her, and challenge her for the IWGP Women's Championship. I think that's how I would do it. And then you could set up a match for Wrestle Kingdom Night 2 in 2 weeks. In the meantime, you have on January 11th, the AEW Kia Forum show in Los Angeles, where they're going to have this mystery partner, which Tony Khan was asked point blank, who is the mystery partner? And he did not deny that it was Sasha Banks. So, and Tony's one of those guys where he doesn't like to overpromise these things, right? He doesn't like to overpromise, oh, well, it's going to be this great debut tonight. And then, it's no disrespect, but it's like, Colton Gunn or something. But you know what I'm saying. But I think that I think that that's the way I would do it. That's the way that makes most sense, because you get people to tune in on the speculation of Sasha Banks on night 1 of Wrestle Kingdom, and you build anticipation for night 2 in 2 weeks. And then in the meantime, in between that, you have that AEW kind of bridge of her appearing at AEW as Saraya's tag team partner and making her debut there. And she's the talk of the town. I'm just saying. There's a lot more, I think, to be done there. We got MGT in the chat. MGT saying that Ruby Soho's promo saying being fired by WWE was the best thing to happen to her did not age well. I tend to agree. And it's not because of Ruby Soho. I think in-ring wise, the things that Ruby Soho has done in-ring wise has been amazing in AEW. I like she when she wrestles, I watch. The disconnect that I think is there, it comes down to booking. And I make no bones about it. All Out 2021, when she won the Casino Battle Royale, that they should have put a rocket ship on her back and have her be the one to beat Britt Baker. This was, if there was ever a prime time slot to do it, and to have someone come in and establish themselves as a star, it was then. It was Ruby Soho in that moment, because there's so much you could have done jumping off of that, and it would have been cool, because that was the peak of her momentum in AEW, and that has been the peak of her momentum in AEW. I think she's getting a little bit of it back, and I like the stuff that she's doing with Willow. I don't as much like the stuff that Ty Mello, and Anna JAS are doing. I wish that they would be doing something that's kind of on their own instead of just being meshed together with the Jericho Appreciation Society. But that's not where we're at. And looking back, yeah, there were definitely some booking decisions that didn't go right. And the fact that she has not been, I think the fact that she just hasn't been on TV, she's been injured, that she's been, that she just hasn't had the creative there, I think that has hurt Ruby Soho in a lot of ways. And it is unfortunate, because that's someone who I really enjoy seeing, and is someone whose matches I enjoy seeing, and someone who, in my opinion, has some of the best facial reactions of anyone in pro wrestling. We got Dr. Earl in the chat. Well, welcome, Dr. Earl. Dr. Earl says, will Sasha Banks be using her name, or are they going to give her a new one? She's going to get a new one. There was this report out that the name Mercedes Moné was trademarked. Now, there's been a lot of speculation about that. I think Sasha Banks actually tweeted something hinting towards that being her name. But yeah, I mean, I would say, like, if I'm going to put a percentage on this, on pure speculation, I would say like 60% if she debuts somewhere else, right? I would say like 60 to 70% chance it's going to be Mercedes Moné, and then, like 30% chance it's just going to be Mercedes Varnado, which it would make sense, I think, for her to be Mercedes Varnado because that is her real name, and that's the brand that she wants to build. And I think that would be a cool thing. But either way, Mercedes Moné, great name. Mercedes Varnado, great name. Great wrestler. None of that really matters. Unless you're going to come out and call her like slap nuts like Jeff Jarrett. But, Which, by the way, Max Caster's diss on Jeff Jarrett may have been one of the funniest things I've seen in pro wrestling in a long time. Like that, if you guys have not seen the diss that he did on Jeff Jarrett on Dynamite last week, do yourselves a favor and go watch that. That is one of the funniest things I've ever seen. The references he makes, he at one point he says, Jeff out here screaming, Jeff out here scheming on or I don't know. He says something to the effect of Jeff out here scheming like it's Global Force Gold, and I was like, that is. Nothing's going to ever beat that in pro wrestling as far as a diss. Because Jeff Jarrett did try to scam people on Global Force Gold, which was like one of those Ponzi cash for gold schemes. And that was at the same time that he was trying to push Global Force Wrestling. But, yeah, so if you have not seen that, please go check that out. Also, if you're just joining us, welcome. Be sure to hit that like button, subscribe, and hit that notification bell. We got... Low Jake's in the chat. Welcome. Says, did you see the rumor of Naomi going to be with her? So I think that's always been part of the speculation. Naomi potentially coming along and debuting in New Japan or debuting in AEW, wherever, with Sasha Banks. And I've been a part of the group that is saying that I think that it should be Sasha Banks. I think Sasha Banks and Naomi should debut together wherever they go, or at least they should be kind of generally. I think they're going to be in the same company because they have made a point over the past ever since they walked out or ever since they left WWE. They have made a point of being together, whether it be red carpets, whether it be live streams, wherever. They have made a point of being together, kind of signaling that they are a package deal, that they were in this together. And I think that, obviously Naomi's husband is in WWE, and that's not me saying that, she's going to do that because her husband wants her to. That's me saying that it's very likely that she could go back because she wants to be around her family. And that is something that I think everyone understands. But I also think that there is credence to the idea of them being a package kind of deal. I am looking at the PW Insider report as well, the one that you just mentioned. Says PW Insider reports that Naomi, also known as Trinity Fatu, is currently slated to be in Japan this week. I had not heard this. Now, that doesn't mean that she'll be a part of New Japan's biggest show of the year. Insider says that their sources at New Japan's wouldn't confirm that they are bringing in Naomi, and intimated, she was coming of her own accord. So this also might be a thing of she just is coming to support Sasha or Mercedes as she's making a transition in her career. That's also possible because they are like best friends. So I don't know. I am not going to be watching Wrestle Kingdom live. I will say that. It is going to be at 3:00 in the morning. I work. I can't be doing all that. I humbly apologize to all the people who are, and I credit the people who are going to watch Wrestle Kingdom live. Good on you, because I can't. But that being said, it is definitely going to be a spectacular night of wrestling, because not only do you have that, you also have some great matches, some dream matches. You have FTR versus Goto and Yoshihashi. You have Zack Sabre Jr. Competing. You have WWE's Carl Anderson versus Tama Tonga for the Never Openweight Championship. Like, you have a WWE talent on a New Japan show. On the same time, you have AEW talent like FTR. You have AEW talent potentially like Mercedes maybe. You have AEW talent like Kenny Omega going up against Will Ospreay for the U.S. title. And here's the thing. I'm not saying that I know what New Japan's gonna do. Here's what I would do if I was New Japan and I was booking the main event, because the main event's going to be Switchblade Jay White versus Kazuchika Okada for the IWGP World Championship. I would have Kenny Omega win the U.S. title from Will Ospreay, and then I would have Kazuchika Okada win the IWGP World Championship from Jay White. And this is where it gets all speculative and all crazy, but this is what I love. This is what I want to happen, honestly. Omega wins, Okada wins. At the end of the night, Okada's big moment. He's finally recaptured his prize, his title, the IWGP World Heavyweight Championship. His music is playing. Doo-doo, 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 doo-doo. All that great stuff. And then we hear Kenny Omega's music hit. And it's not Battle Cry. We're talking about Devil Scott. We're talking about his New Japan music. And he comes out with his title. Guys, what bigger main event, crossover match could you have for Forbidden Door than Kenny Omega versus Kazuchika Okada? Like, we want to talk about the four. Look, they've done it 3 times. A fourth one's not going to hurt anyone. Kazuchika Okada, Kenny Omega 4 needs to happen. I think it should happen at Forbidden Door. I don't care where they do it, whether it's LA, whether it's New York, whether it's Chicago. Hell, if you're going to do a bingo hall up in Philadelphia, I'll come there too. But if that's the main event and you want to get butts in the seat, ooh, buddy. That's how you do it. MGT says, this deal with AEW New Japan is very one-sided. One's a bigger company. One's a big... Like, at the end of the day, for New Japan, this is about growing their reach in America. Like, that's what this is. This is about growing their reach with America and also growing their talent pool as well. Because let's not act like AEW talent haven't helped out New Japan in that respect. I think... It is easy to get lost in the space of like who wins and who loses, right? And I think that it is important to an extent, but at the same time, the fact that AEW wrestlers can defend like almost weekly their titles, like FTR, we're defending their IWGP World Championship, Tag Team Championships on New Japan. So I think like it fits both companies in what they're trying to do. AEW is trying to build a talent pool, create excitement. And New Japan's just trying to get a real established foothold in America. And long term, I think that's going to help them. Whether or not it's been one-sided, I think AEW, it's always going to sway a little bit to AEW because they are the biggest company or the second biggest company in the world. Like that's just the truth. And yeah, if you're asking for a reason why, that's why. But we got Lil Jax asking, what does New Japan stream on? If you're in the States, you can watch it on New Japan World. So it's like their own subscription service, New Japan World. Let me see. Let me see if I can remember what the price was. So like, I'm actually trying to look this up here. New Japan. It would be helpful if I just typed out the entire New Japan World thing. Yeah, if you go to New Japan World English content, I'm trying to find out the price. I think it's like $9 a month. Yeah, so like $9 US dollars a month. I'm not sure for people who are outside of the States what that would be, but I assume, I'm pretty sure that in most regions they do New Japan World. So New Japan World. And then that's a plug for them. Pay me, New Japan. It's like, no, don't even watch this video because New Japan will just give me a copyright strike for not even using. I'm not even using their logo. I'm just talking about them, and they'll probably copyright strike this because that's what they do. That's what that's not what New Japan does. I love New Japan Pro Wrestling. That is what TV Asahi does. TV Asahi, I hate you. I hate you, TV Asahi. And I make no bones about it. They will copyright strike you for just talking about New Japan Pro Wrestling. So, love you, New Japan, Gato, Rocky Romero, everybody. Love y'all. Hey, TV Asahi, screw you guys. Guys, we are heading down the home stretch of this show. Be sure to get your questions in. If you haven't already done so, subscribe as well. Hit that like button for all your sporting-related needs. I'm talking about football, basketball, all that stuff. Go over to youtube.com/Real Take Sports. We just relaunched and revamped that channel. Real Take Sports, your one-stop destination for all things American sports. So we got that in, and of course, Real Take Wrestling, where we talk about wrestling here on youtube.com/Real Take Wrestling. Yeah. So the other thing that I forgot to talk about actually was Bray Wyatt. So let's talk about Bray Wyatt very quickly. And if you guys have questions, please get them in and we can answer those as well. But Bray Wyatt, for those of you who are not aware, wrestled his first match back after nearly 2 years, like over a year and a half of absence, nearly 2 years, because the last time he wrestled was like April. And it was a dark match on a house show. And he seems to have injured himself already. Oh me, oh my, oh meow. So he was wrestling. Who was it? I'm actually looking this up here. He was wrestling somebody in Miami, Florida. Wyatt told a couple of fans that he had broken his fingers while pointing out the injury. And there was a video on Twitter that's going around of his fingers just broken. And it's like, oof, it's not great. But yeah, and as far as how this will affect Wyatt moving forward, I'm not sure that it will. Like Bray, I mean Bray doesn't have to wrestle a match until the blackout match, whatever they're gonna call it, at Royal Rumble. So there's time, and it's a broken finger. This is the same Bray Wyatt who, by the way, wrestled with a broken freaking ankle. He wrestled The Undertaker at WrestleMania 31 with basically a broken ankle. So, like, he's willing to fight through the pain, and you know, like, it's not going to affect him as much, but I think, like, he'll be fine. Like, worst case scenario, he'll wrap that son of gun up and, like, just go, because that's what Bray Wyatt does. I am interested to see this match, though, like Bray Wyatt versus Eli Drake. Oh, sorry, LA Knight. I humbly apologize for calling him by his real name. But yeah, but it's gonna be the Mountain Dew Pitch Black match. I forgot. That's what it was. That's what had me like rolling about this. It's called the Mountain Dew Pitch Black match. So this is a Bray Wyatt Pitch Black match presented by Mountain Dew, and it's the funniest thing ever. I'm like, Bray Wyatt, what a guy. He's like, Bray Wyatt's not doing so well, guys. He had to sponsor out his match. It's so stupid. It's so stupid. I mean, the Pitch Black, I'm gonna watch it, and I'm sure I'm gonna like it, because I'm one of those people who's generally liked a lot of Bray's stuff in the past. But the fact that they call it the Mountain Dew, like, you remember back when they had the Mountain Dew honey mustard pre-show, like those kickoff shows, and it's like this. It's just bringing me back to those days of WWE. MGT says the Bloodline stuff and the Bray stuff are the only real storylines in pro wrestling. In all of pro wrestling, I mean, it depends on what you count as a storyline, because yes, as far as like long-term storylines, sure, but you also have things in AEW like you have things in AEW like MJF's Bidding War of 2024. That in itself is a storyline. And you could argue that those are like probably the three best storylines, or three of the only good ones going on mainstream wrestling television. You'd probably be right. Although internationally, I will say the Omega Ospreay storyline has been built up very well. And I don't blame people for not having like seen a lot of it, because some of it took place on AEW TV, some of it's taking place online, some of it's taking place on New Japan. So like that's kind of been all over the place. And if you'd only see it if you're like a fan of all that. But there has been a build up to that. I just think it hasn't been as brought together, though. I will say that. But you're mostly right, though, when you say I think the most well told, consistent ones are those two. And the Bray one, I'm not gonna lie to you. As a fan of Bray Wyatt, we need to get to the point of whatever the hell is going on there. We honestly need to, but Guys, it's been a wonderful Monday show. I've enjoyed this. Hopefully, you guys are enjoying a start to your new year. Hopefully, everyone had a great holiday. Hope you have a wonderful 2023. We're here every week, Mondays in the afternoon Eastern time, talking about pro wrestling with Omer on Tuesday nights Eastern. Be sure to check out me and Trevor on OT Graps. We have some live streams for WWE pay-per-views that we do. A lot of fun stuff on the channel, news updates as well. And considering what some of you guys voted in our poll that was up on our community tab, we will be having some more top 5 videos and more like documentary style, quote unquote, content. So be on the lookout for that. I'm going to try to do some interviews as well. It's one of my goals in 2023. Get into doing some interviews. So all that's coming up. Don't worry. MGT rounds us out in the chat saying it's LA Knight. Yeah, I effing love him. I became a fan when he was in NXT, but I didn't see his NWA and TNA stuff. Look up at some of his NWA stuff during the pandemic, because that was when NWA was not running. They weren't running shows. LA Knight had some of the funniest video on a cell phone promos ever. It was like he was doing the most ridiculous stuff and cutting the most ridiculous promos, because NWA had to keep somewhat of a presence, but they obviously couldn't wrestle. So go check that out if you haven't already. But Happy New Year, everyone. I hope everyone's happy. I hope everyone's healthy. And I hope y'all keep it real.